This video deals with how to set up a composite material and use it in the project in the MEP Works interface. Two places you can do your U-value calculations, one in the minor programs and one actually in the project. So I'm going to show you first of all how we would set up a U-value on the minor program. So selecting the U-value, what we then do is start a new file. So file new, put our name in here. When setting up the material, we then decide on the material type, and that will determine the heat flow. So it's a wall. You have the surface resistances preset based on the wind speed, or you can user define them, so you can put your own values in here. Also, you have your external temperature and internal temperature and respective humidities as well for the condensation checks. And also the thermal transmittance corrections to BS6946 allow you to put the wall ties, the actual thermal conductivity of the materials, cross-sectional area, and the way the insulation is arranged in the air gap. We then move into the interface where we look at our materials. All of the materials are categorized by their functionality effectively. So you pick the appropriate category and you start working from the inside towards the outside. So for example, typically we might have some plaster lining. So we'll go to cements, plaster, screeds, select the type of material, let's say gypsum plastering. You put the dimension in first, so you all select the thickness first. So let's say we've got a 5mm skim, gypsum plastering, select the add button. You then move on to the next material. So the next material might be some blockwork or plasterboard. So we can move to the next category, put the plasterboard in there, and let's say it's 15mm fire line, so 15mm, select the material of interest, add that in. Wall linings, plasterboards, close that down. Next up we might have some blockwork, so we might have an internal blockwork, so we can go for the blockwork category, selecting the blockwork we want. So we've got a whole range of blockwork in here, putting the thickness of the blockwork in, selecting the blockwork itself, adding the blockwork in. To apply the thermal bridging of the cement between the brickwork, what we do, we see this little box here, bridging layer, tick the box, express the percentage cement between the brickwork as a percentage. So if you look at a certain area of wall, a certain percentage of that will consist of the cement. We then go to cements, plaster, screeds, select from the list the mortar inner leaf, add that in. We'll then probably have some insulation, so I can go for the insulation category. I can select the insulation I want, so I'll say it's 60mm, and I want the Celotex insulation, add that in. It's worth mentioning at this point, if you make a mistake while setting these up, don't worry about it. Once you get the material listing as a section on the screen and it's been calculated, you can make all the amendments. So don't worry too much if you make a mistake when setting it up. So insulation, next thing we'll probably have an airspace, so I'm going to do a typical 25mm airspace. Lots of different airspaces there, I'll go for that one. And then we'll go to our external construction, and let's say I've got some sort of concrete block arrangement. I'm going to say that's 150mm thick. Select the blockwork, add that in, and again we'll have the cement between the brickwork as a layer, it's a bridging layer. Changing the category and then selecting cements, plaster, screeds, and going for mortar outer leaf. Add that and then select finish. So it's at this point we can decide to edit our material. So you can see here we've got the U value, the admittance, the decrement, the lag, the lead, etc. So to make a change, all you do, double click within the boundary of the information or the element you want to change the thickness, change the material type. And as you make that change, you'll see that if significant, it'll change the U value. So that'll make the change. You can also edit the layers. So you can, from the pull down, you can edit the layers by selecting them. Or it's just easier just to double click on the layer. You can also introduce information as well. So typically the insulation will probably have a foil backing, a vapor barrier. So on the listing here, I can insert a layer. Using the double-headed arrow, I can pick the interface between the blockwork and the insulation. I can then select my vapor barrier, put the smallest thickness in, aluminium foil, make the change, and you can see there your saturation interface vapor pressure line drops preventing the transfer of moisture. This can then be saved, so I can file, save as. I can save this as an element file, and that can be then introduced into the project, which we'll show you in a further video on how to change from one wall type to another.